This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis.
He loops out the left field, going to be a tough play. Jeter on the run, makes the play, and flies into the stands. Oh, what a play! There it goes, deep to left, really deep. See ya! Oh my goodness, what a shot by Aaron Judge!
Way back left field. You gotta be kidding me! It's my home run. I swear to the Lord, you gotta put four fingers up. Put it towards.
See ya! See ya! See ya! A home run by Derek Jeter. Oh, what a ball game! A game-winning walk-off home run by Derek Jeter.
Fans want a dinger out of him. This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly. A tremendous home run to the back end of the grandstand in left field. The San Chino. Oh, that Gary is scary. He homers to left, and the Yankees take a 1-0. Yankees win.
What is going on, guys? This is Rob Carbone coming at you with another episode of BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Hope everybody's doing well. Episode 105 of BD4. Going to talk a little Yanks and, obviously going to talk about the Chinese virus and then obviously get into a couple other things. Actually, we have later in the show, in a few minutes, really, we're going to have we had an interview just a couple hours ago with Anthony Elbert, who is a police officer down in Chesapeake, Virginia. Anthony is my cousin. Not too long ago not too long ago where he entered the police force. So we're going to have an interview with him, kind of a little bit out of our element, obviously. Not really going to be about sports, the second half of this show or anything like that. We're just going to have, because there's nothing really going on. We've kind of covered a shit ton lately on the podcast, so we're running out of ideas. So I figured I'd interview my cousin, Anthony Elbert, a police officer down in Virginia, and just to see what life is like for the police force, in Virginia right now, and just during the coronavirus, how things are, how different they are versus how they are now. And we really just talk about other things in the police force as well, not just during the virus, just what life is like as an officer today, how he copes with certain things, the strengths, the weaknesses of his, of his job, and really just dove into what life is like in law enforcement because, I guess we dove into this just because I want to give a little more respect to law enforcement today. I feel like they don't get enough respect with all that's going on, but also we just, it was just random because we felt like there's nothing else to talk about. What is there to talk about with the Yankees? What is there to talk about with the Knicks? We've kind of covered a whole bunch of Knicks lately. We're going to have a show on episode 106, which should be released early Saturday morning, where we're going to talk Yankees and Knicks with Ryan, who's a diehard Yanks and Knicks fan. And we'll get to that in the next show. But for tonight, we'll start off by talking a little bit MLB, a little bit Yankees, and then we'll get into the interview in just a bit. But yeah, guys, thank you for stopping by. Rob Carbone doing episode 105 of BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. If you guys haven't subscribed to the podcast, be sure to do it on all of our different platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Google, SoundCloud, Apple, iTunes. Just go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com, and that'll take you to everything you need to see. It'll bring you to everything that you need to, see. So I feel like I worded that incorrectly, but you know the deal. Go to my description, go into the description, or if you're watching the video cast on YouTube, it should, show you where to follow me, how to subscribe to the podcast and all that shit. But, Major League Baseball a couple weeks ago now, kind of released a proposal, or they're thinking about playing in Arizona with no crowd, and seeing how that whole thing works out. I'm not fully against it. I'm not fully for it. Obviously, I want to see baseball. I'm just going to wait. Really, I'm not going to have a big opinion on that until just to see what happens until down the line. We'll see what happens. But, it's I will add that in my opinion, it's something that could either really, really benefit the game of baseball or really, really be reckless to the game of baseball because, obviously dealing with a serious virus here that is contagious. So, this could infect, this could affect a lot here. If the Yankees or just if anybody, any player on any baseball team really gets this virus during the season and, it's a domino effect. It's just teammates get it. The opponents get it. Even just where they're staying, hotel staff, bus drivers will get it. It's very, very risky in that aspect. So that's something to think about. Obviously, having no fans is just very odd to me. It's very obviously it's very unconventional. It's having fans is what baseball is about, right? That's what baseball is. That may sound cliche, and you could say that for any other sport, but I feel like baseball in general is all about the crowd and having no crowd or having they were talking about having like some cardboard cutouts. I swear to God, I saw that somewhere. It just wouldn't be weird. It would be really weird. Imagine just a big hit late in the ninth and just crickets. That to me, I'm not sure about how this whole thing is going to shape up if they do end up playing, in Arizona with no crowd or something like that. That's weird to me as well. And there are a couple things to it, but then you look at the positives where if everything does go as planned and they can get this thing going sometime late mid-May, in a perfect world, then that'd be beneficial because there's nothing else on TV, right? Sports fans are looking for something to watch right now. Trust me. I've seen it. You've seen it. We are dead bored right now. And I think if you put baseball on, it won't be just that dying, boring, slow sport. People will tune in just because it's something. And maybe that could help expand the game of baseball a little bit. So I think that's a positive aspect of this whole thing. And it's a big one too. It could definitely draw more attention to the game. And who knows, guys. But overall, I think just have to see how this whole thing pans out. Also, I do want to add that if it is something that happens, it's not going to be a traditional baseball season in any kind of form. That whole thing is over with. We're not getting a 162 either. That's another thing I want to bring up. Probably, mid-May, that sounds like what? First of all, that sounds optimistic. Let's just say June. And if that happens, then we're not going to get 100 games or something like that. We'll get under 100 games if we're going to start in June or even late May. It's probably going to be something, right under that. And is that really a large enough season to consider legitimate, right? Because baseball is all about that marathon, that dogfight, that grind. And I feel like it's such a hot and cold game where the fucking Baltimore Orioles of all teams could go on a, 8-game win streak and end up being a playoff team late in the year because of their hot streaks. And, an 80-game sample size, what if somebody like the Marlins or the Orioles are, somehow 42-40 or whatever, and they end up, it's so different because with a normal baseball team, with a normal baseball season, if you're 42-40, you have plenty of time to kind of regress to the mean, and the Orioles can go back to being that putrid 42-100, whatever, but now, they might be able to find, a rhythm at the right time because it's so short. So you never know. You're going to potentially have a lot of upsets that could happen here. It's going to be bizarre because the home run leaders will have 30 home runs tops, and the division leaders will have somewhere, I don't know, 60 wins or something like that. So it's going to be totally bizarre to see a season like this shape up. But it is what it is. At this point, I think, again, fans just want something. They just want to see baseball out there, and whatever happens, happens. As for the Yankees, I'm not going to complain if they do end up winning it all. That's far from now. But if, say, something happens where there is a season and the Yankees succeed from the beginning of the year to the end of the playoffs and they win that World Series, it is what it is. It's going to feel a little weird to me, but what are you going to do? And it doesn't feel legitimate to me, but it is what it is. There's literally nothing we can do about it at this point. And a winner will be a winner no matter how much emphasis you want to put on the season being shortened or the season not being legit. I think it is what it is, and unfortunately, it's, hey, if you can put an asterisk next to that, but not the Astros, then, oh man, that's something to think about there. That's another thing, man. The Astros kind of got off fucking scot-free here, where, you know, everybody was kind of shitting on them for a while, and then this whole thing happened with the virus, and now they're just pretty much getting off free, and it's like, shit. If a season happens, everybody's just going to be thinking about baseball and just be happy to get back on the field. And we're kind of ignoring this whole Astros scandal that went on, and it was a big deal. Manfred did shit about it, and now it's just going to be even lessened with all that's happening and the distractions around the game. So, whatever. Kind of a fucking weird rant by me there that for 10 minutes. I don't have a script in front of me. Usually I'll have some notes, but tonight the episode is just going to be mainly me and my cousin Anthony Elbert, who I interviewed, talking about his job, which is he's a police officer. He is in law enforcement. In case you missed at the start of the show, he is in law enforcement down in Chesapeake, Virginia. And he's, you know, we just talk about what life is like as a cop and what life is like as a cop right now during the virus and everything that's going on. So we talked for about 15 minutes, I'd say. It was a good conversation. It actually took us about 6 or 7 tries to 6 or 7 takes to get this thing done, because we're two people who he's one of my best friends in life, and we never take each other seriously. We're always, screwing around, and we never take each other seriously. So it was a little bit interesting, a little bit odd, I guess, to interview him, and both of us having to have straighter faces. It was just weird. It was more of an interview than just us screwing around. So it took us a while to get our shit straight and not fuck around. So, hey, I might release a couple of bloopers when I do put the podcast up. So that'll be something fun. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to BD4. Kind of a shitty first dozen minutes. Didn't really talk about anything interesting. Kind of just rambled. Felt like I talked too fast, but yeah, that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoy this video that's going to come up, an interview, that's coming up with Anthony Elbert. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, thank you. If you're listening to the podcast on the dozen plus other platforms, thank you as well. Go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Click on the option called Outlets, and that'll take you to a page that displays all the information you need to know, where to subscribe to the podcast, to the blog, and how to find me on social media as well. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Rob Carbone with episode 105, Yanks, Corona, and Law Enforcement Talk with Anthony Elbert of BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. All right, guys, we're going to get to that interview in just a sec, but we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll head into it. All right. Hey, guys, just want to make sure, if you haven't yet, please go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. Once again, go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. There should be a little option called Outlets on that front page. Click on Outlets, and that will take you to a page that displays all of my information. My social media outlets, how to subscribe to my blog, and how to subscribe to my podcast on the many different platforms we have. So once again, guys, go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. All right, guys, so we are here with my cousin, one of my best friends in life, Anthony Elbert, who is a police officer down in Chesapeake, Virginia?
Chesapeake, yep.
And thanks for coming on, man. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on the show. But obviously there's nothing to talk about right now sports related, so I figured we'd change it up here on BD4 and I don't know, just talk about what life is like in the police force during coronavirus and during everything that's going on.
So people obviously have been told to stay home, and businesses are closing around us. So it's different we're limiting our contact with people using protective gear like gloves and masks, and people are definitely getting irritated. Like the level of falls are going up. People are definitely not happy. They're yeah. You never know what you're gonna walk into, anyways. But now it's expected. People aren't gonna be happy when they see you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's probably really weird, just awkward if anything.
Yeah.
But how long have you been? I know it wasn't too long ago where you just got into the job, right?
Yeah, I started the academy in 2018, and then I went on the street that fall. So I've been on the street for about 2 years.
Awesome. Would you say, just in general, not just like currently, what is your favorite part of the job overall?
Overall is every day you come to work, it's always something different, so you never get like bored or tired of what you're doing. And me personally, I like to go out there, criminal activity and stuff, keep myself busy, and meeting new people, meeting people that like you, if you ever get that opportunity.
Right. Speaking of people that like you, do you feel like officers today get enough respect and recognition really from society, or do you feel like it should be something that's a little out there more, deserve a little more respect?
It's a good question. So there's two sides. There's people who all the way like the police, and then there's people who hate the police. There's no like middle. So you're either gonna find someone who really likes what you do and is thankful, or you're gonna find someone who doesn't understand and just hates you for wearing the badge. There's no middle ground.
I definitely agree. I always see, like, just in my own experience, just living life, I always see how there's just there's one side and there's another side. There's no middle ground. It's just that sucks. You kind of want more respect in that aspect, but yeah. Well, I mean, it's we appreciate everything you do, man, and I couldn't be prouder to have you as a cousin, be somebody who works in the law. It's just awesome. So your favorite part of the job is just to meet new people. You said, what would you say is not that something you don't like, but what was your least favorite? Something you feel like I don't know, you need to work on, or something that's hard or difficult, being in the force?
So when you do your reports and stuff, like it's a lot of times where you might miss something, and the paperwork aspect is probably everybody's least favorite thing. Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork, depending on how your night goes too. Whatever you decide to get into, there's always going to be paperwork coming with it. So, there's that. There's going to the same house constantly, same call. What we would call problem house. Like you start to like get familiar with some addresses and some like calls and stuff. So like that can wear on you pretty quick. When you try to help, a certain situation, they just don't want to listen.
Yeah, I can imagine that gets difficult, and
yeah,
I'm sure you have a lot of that. So it gets tiring, I guess, and it's just that's definitely a good answer. I would agree with that. Now, are there like, in terms of personal strengths and personal weaknesses, would you have?
Absolutely.
What's your biggest strength? We'll start with that, and then we'll go to the weakness.
My biggest strength is definitely my jiu-jitsu background. It helped me through the academy. It helps me when I'm on the street. It's definitely something every law enforcement officer should have. It could definitely save your life or keep you out of being on the news the next day for something that you could have handled differently. The biggest weakness, I would say, is adjusting to like high volume calls. When your adrenaline starts to really kick in, it kind of messes with your thinking a little bit. You gotta kind of tell yourself to just bring it down, just kind of pray through it. So like there's certain calls or situations you go to, and like you start getting that heart rate up, and it's it's like a fight or flight kind of thing. That's definitely something that's hard to get used to. Right. The unknown, really, like the unknown is probably one of the hardest things.
Right. you mentioned your jiu-jitsu background. How long have you been doing that for? Because I know you've been doing that for forever.
8 years. Yep, 8 years this month.
That's definitely got to help with what you're doing right now.
God is good, man. It's definitely essential.
Do you trying to figure out here we go. I'm trying to get set up. How do you get along with like the different personalities around the job? Are there like?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of personalities. Yeah. Basically, you just find the personality that you can work with, and you basically hang around that person the whole shift. Honestly, if I don't have a good connection with someone's personality, I just tend to do my own thing. But you want to work around. You're on a squad, so you have your squad mates. You tend to just draw towards the person who you get along with the most. Kind of like you have a partner, even though we ride solo most of the time.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask that next. So you don't have like a specific partner? You guys just
specific partner, not in patrol, but I mean they let you ride double sometimes. But you go to other units in the department, and then you start getting partners and stuff. But where I'm at right now, no, I don't have a partner.
Okay, I got you. So your hours are like, you told me you were late night, overnight, or?
Yeah, so right now I'm on midnight shift, so that's from 11:30 at night till 8 in the morning, and that's for a whole year. And then generally it's days and evenings, they switch every week. So
wow.
Yeah.
A whole year like that?
Yeah.
So
it's rough.
Have you ever worked like normal time? Like during the day, do you ever work? So
once in every 8 weeks or every 4 weeks or whatever, it's 8 weeks. If you're on day shift, you'll occasionally get a Monday through Friday rotation, and then you get 2 days off. Or actually, after day shift, it's 3 days off. That's why it switches a lot, because you go from 5 on, 2 off, 5 on, 3 off. So you just constantly go through the cycle. So more or less I'm working weekends. So
what do you prefer, day or night?
That's a good question. So I like daytime because I can see better, obviously, for my safety. And like when I'm doing stuff, it's just easier to see. But nighttime as well, you don't have to deal with a lot of stuff in the daytime, like heavy traffic or certain businesses that are open and stuff. So I like both for different reasons. Midnight shift is a different animal, but I like it. It's hard to get used to.
Okay, yeah. Definitely, man. We appreciate what you guys do, and so I don't know if you have anything else to add. We're about 10 minutes in, but I feel like I should have asked. I had something else I wanted to ask you. I don't know if it was written down. Talking about that. I don't know, man. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Do you have any friends that want to be police officers? Like,
I was gonna say, I know a lot of people are kind of trying to be police officers. In my from who I grew up with, and I guess I forgot to ask you this. I want to know what your have you had any experiences that you could take as a positive, or any emotional experiences on the job that have impacted you?
Absolutely.
In a positive aspect, or anything that you hold on to and remember all the time?
Yeah. So this is recent. I had to go to court for this person who I had, a couple issues with. We'll just say that. I ended up just, easing off on him in court. And, from the area that he lives in, definitely that area is not pro-police at all. You have your communities that are, but where he lives in, generally, no, it's not pro-police. And after we got done with court, he kind of asked me to be his mentor. Like, he wanted me to keep him out of trouble and stuff. And he actually that's definitely one thing that I will always remember, is changing somebody's way of thinking and heart, how they think. We started getting into Christian stuff, and I was telling him I would pray for him and stuff. And then for him to where he's from, for him to look at a police officer as a mentor is rare. So I felt like that was something special to me. and you can't take those moments back. Like, and you can never forget those. And that's just one of the many things I love about the job, honestly.
Absolutely, and I think you bring up a good point, because a lot of people, when police are involved in things, they look at it as like a negative aspect. I think like they're just, we have to remember you guys are all just trying to help, and a lot of people today just look at it as more of an enemy thing, but when you guys are just trying to help, if you just get along with the police and just, do what they say, really just do what they say and try to learn from what they're telling you. I understand there are some bad people out there, but for the majority of you guys are just so wonderful and you do such a great job, and I think people need to realize that more than they do.
Well, people are like viewing us from like an outside perspective. Like, not 9 times out of 10 when we come to their house or we get a call, it's not for a good reason. So they're already amped up. They're not thinking straight. They think that just because we're there, automatically somebody's going to jail, or we automatically think somebody's a bad person. Like, no, we're there to investigate stuff, solve problems, and uphold the law was what we're sworn in to do. It's not that we definitely don't like this divide in society with cops and citizens. It shouldn't be. It should be all one. You mess up, you mess up. You break the law, you break the law. It is what it is. I've never judged somebody for breaking the law. Even if I've had to arrest somebody, I always treat them like a normal person, and I tell them I'm not mad at you, because it's the truth. You gotta, and that's for the police side. I think people need to do more of is looking at people like human beings, and being a different experience for them. Maybe if they've had a lot of run-ins with the police. Like, you have a chance to be that one different cop, that they may have never knew existed in their mind.
Right. Definitely, man. Yeah, again, man, I want to thank you for everything you're doing, and I know in a time like this, it's so different and just bizarre, and I hope that you can continue to keep what you're doing at a very strong rate, and just keep it up, man. Thank you for coming on. We're about 15 minutes in, so...
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate having you on, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Elbert, guys.